military broadcast radio. Tune in to the strangest stories with a skeptical grin. Stranger things have happened, but it's all real life, like exhuming dead bodies in the middle of the night. Paranormal whispers in the back of the hall, mysteries in the shadows over nightfall. Laura throws sass with a snarky attack, and Amber's got the facts and the case file stacked. The headlines are wild like a gypsy rose thread. Everybody's talking, we go deeper instead. So buckle up tight if you're ready to proceed. The truth goes deep when you're into the weeds.
Into the Weeds with Amber and Alora on Military Broadcast Radio.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Into the Weeds podcast on Military Broadcast Radio. I'm Amber, and Alora is gone today. She had her wisdom teeth plus 2 other teeth taken out, and she is absolutely miserable on the couch. So with me today, I have Nancy from the Toll podcast. Hello, Nancy.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. So we're going to talk about CrimeCon today. It was an experience this year, completely different from what we experienced last year. But let's say hello. Hey, Alora, good to see you. I hope you're feeling a little bit better. And Wyvana and Sam and Kathleen and Teffy. So it's good to see all of you, and I hope you're doing well. So this year's CrimeCon, I will say it was in Vegas, and hey, Toxic Barbie, it was in Vegas, and it was super, super hot.
But well, it wasn't toward the end. Now, it had been in the 100 range prior to us getting there, and our first day there, it was in the 70s. So we were lucky. But yeah, as we were there, it got warm.
Yeah, no, when we first got there, it wasn't too bad, but by the end, it got super, super hot. And Laura said, I feel like a butthead, LOL, shirt covered in blood. And it truly is. I covered my couch with a shower curtain. And then I covered her pillow with a trash bag.
So you're saying she looks like a crime scene.
She really does. Oh, Kathleen, you lost your wrench. I don't know what happened. I'll go in there and look later, but I have no idea about all the mod stuff. I went in there by accident the other day and found some stuff. So if I did anything on accident, I'm sorry. Okay. So it was hot at the towards the end, but when we first got there, it was good. So we flew in, thank goodness, because if I would have driven in, I would have been so miserable.
For sure.
You flew in too, right?
Yeah, Allegiant has a straight flight from Springfield to Vegas. So
oh well, lucky you. We had to lay over in Chicago for a little bit, but it was okay.
My worst nightmare is Chicago layovers.
Oh, it wasn't that bad. Now, the layovers in Dallas are always the worst for me. I don't know why. Dallas it intimidates the heck out of me because every time I go there, it seems like something goes wrong and I'm like running for my plane.
Producer Pam lives in Detroit. And so when I have to go, I go through Chicago, and that is my experience every time too.
Really?
Yes.
You know, Atlanta used to be the spot where I was like, oh, I hate flying into Atlanta, but it's changed from Atlanta to Dallas now.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay. So, by the way, I was traveling with my cane as well. So that's why I probably had a worse time this year.
Because hard time?
Huh?
Did they give you a hard time?
No, just in general for my entire trip.
Got you. Just logistics for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Logistically for me, my entire trip between the escalators and the elevators and all that stuff. And we can get into that because, CrimeCon. So all of the hotel rooms were on one side of the hotel. All of the conference rooms and everything were on the back other side of the hotel. And so you had to walk forever just to get over to the conference area, and you stayed across the street, right? So you had even more walking to
We
do.
stayed on the link. I was probably 20,000 steps in before we even started. And if you haven't been to Caesar's Palace, it's its own little city. Like it is just massive. The inside, the ceiling looks like clouds. So you feel like you're outside and it's that massive. So yeah, there is a lot of walking when you talk about Vegas in general, but Caesar's Palace. Wow.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, Caesar's in itself is just humongous. And so you've got all the different gambling sections. And finally, the last day, we found the sports betting section over on the very end of the...
Over by Duncan. That's where I was actually.
Yeah, so that was the first time I had seen it, was when we were leaving. But yeah, so we had that, and then we had to walk all the way to the conference center. And for regular people, you can go up an escalator, but it's like 3 floors. Mm-hmm. Me, I don't do escalators because I fell 15 feet in the Army and broke my back in 3 places. And so escalators and me do not get along. My husband has tried many, many times to do like exposure therapy on escalators for me.
Yeah.
But I literally get on there and I don't know if I'm coming or going, going up or going down. I don't know if I'm going sideways,
it's really disorienting for you.
Yeah, it's disorienting and my whole brain just kind of shuts off. And so escalators are a no-go for me. Now, Maggie did get me on one escalator the very first time. And that was the 3-story one. And she turned around and talked to me, and Alora was behind me.
I like this, catching you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. And at least I did it one time.
Bless your heart. So yeah, you had to go find an elevator on top of all of that.
Yeah. So then I had to walk extra just to find the elevator. Then I get to the elevator, and then lo and behold, there's escalators you got to go down to go to the exhibit hall. And I'm like, what the heck? Because we were trying to help Maggie set up and everything. And this was the first day on Thursday when she finally got her luggage and all of that stuff. That's a whole mess in itself. And so I had to go find another elevator, which took forever because the security guards did not know which elevator I should take. And so I walked around that floor a couple of times. And then finally we realized where I needed to go, got there, and helped Maggie set up. And that was interesting this year because last year there were not as many rules, and this year it seemed to be a lot of rules, and they were checking everything, and because they have a new person in charge of it this year, I guess. And so yeah, we helped Maggie set up, and it took her approximately about 8 hours to get her stuff for CrimeCon to set up her booth, because Caesar's Palace has this policy where they don't allow guests to use their luggage carts. So you have to have a bellhop bring you a luggage cart.
Oh, this was the issue.
Yeah. And so they had to take everything out of Maggie's car and put it on a special cart for the convention. Right.
Yeah.
So then they put this cart away and they tell her, okay, just call us and we will come and get the cart. I did not meet Cece Suarez this year, Wivana, but I did meet her last year. And so Maggie is informed that this bellhop has to take all of her stuff. She's going to get this ticket and she's going to go to her room and she's going to call and they're going to bring it up to her. So needless to say, she gets there about 4 p.m. It ends up being after 10:30 p.m. before she even gets her luggage for just personal luggage. Okay.
And Maggie is Brittany Phillips's mother.
Yes.
And
yes.
To find Brittany's killer. And so she's always lugging around a bunch of stuff for her booth and trying to get attention. So bless her heart.
Yes. Thank you, Nancy, for saying that. I'm all over the place.
No, she drags a lot of stuff in to get attention and bring awareness, and she had quite the time. 8 hours.
Yeah, it took her about 8 hours to get her stuff for the convention. Finally, she got it at about a little after 2 p.m. on Thursday. So she was already supposed to have set up by like 8 or 9 that morning.
Oh, bless her.
And so it was after 2 p.m. that she got her stuff, and we hurried up real quick and helped her set up. But yes, Maggie Zingman, Dr. Maggie Zingman, by the way, too. And people treated her like she was a hillbilly, you know. But yeah, Dr. Maggie Zingman was there, and she was trying to bring awareness for her daughter, Brittany Phillips' murder. She's been on the channel before. She's told her story, and we're going to actually have her back on to talk about Brittany's story more. And she's just an amazing person. I spent a lot of time with her for CrimeCon. So, yeah.
And she's hitting the road. She's taking Route 66 through. So when she gets to Springfield, her and I are going to meet up, and I'm going to do a story updating what she knows now and all the stuff that she's done to fight for Brittany and others.
Yeah, it's exciting. She started this on Route 6 with Britt on Route 66. And what she's trying to do is she's trying to go all along Route 66 up into Chicago and everything, and try to bring all of the cold cases and all of the families from the cold cases together to say, hey, we want some information on these cases. So I'm really excited for her for that. She's going to be going to Albuquerque pretty soon to do that. And yeah, and she's going to come through Springfield and see you. And so that's exciting. But yeah, Millie, I'm glad you didn't go, because it would have been bad for you, I think, with your POTS and everything. So you tell us, Nancy, how was the start of your CrimeCon?
It went well. Flight went well. Got into the hotel. We stayed at the Link across the street, and then my husband was like, let's go map out Caesars for you. And I was like, I love you. So yeah, we went across the street because it's just massive. And of course, I get lost anyway the next day, but I had a friend who I went to high school with and college with, and she flew in for CrimeCon. So I got to see her a couple of times. So that was fun. And I've made friends throughout the years, seeing them. And so I got to see some of those people and take pictures and stuff with them. So yeah, it was a great time. It's just a lot of like-minded people who are trying to navigate a world that we don't always understand, right? And so a lot of survivors, victims are there, yes, but a lot of advocates, a lot of people who are trying to make the world a better place, and a lot of people who create, which is what we also love about that, going there and seeing and meeting with people who are also in the throes of projects and trying to get stuff done. How are they doing it? What are the challenges they faced? What are some tips that they can give us to help us along the way? So especially for somebody like me and you, I just, it's invaluable to get energized and jazzed up and get back and work on stuff that, it's hard. This stuff is hard.
Yeah, it definitely lit a fire under me as far as, I need to step up my game and start working on more of what I'm actually doing behind the scenes, like really legitimately working on it instead of just, working on it when I have the gumption to work on it.
Right. Discipline, right?
Yeah, and then kind of going outside of the box or for me, outside of my box, out of my comfort zone, and doing more videos that aren't my scheduled lives. So that's always been hard for me, because it's like, hey, this is for cognitive therapy, so I don't want to, make it this thing, but at the same time, there are a lot of cases that need highlighted.
I did my first TikTok live from Caesar's Palace, and I thought it was terrible, but I'd never done it. I'm like, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm going to do this, and yeah, but it's just, okay, I did it. Let's do it some more. Let's do it. Yes, I love talking with my listeners and my viewers, and it just I need to do more of that. But yeah, it did light a fire under me too. I'm like, I'm gonna do my first one here. Oh, that was scary.
Especially TikTok lives. Oh my goodness, TikTok is really scary.
Yes, ma'am.
TikTok is yeah, I'm afraid of it. I don't even know if we're live on TikTok right now, but we could be. Go check and see if we are, and if we are, share it out. Depends on if Joel's behind the scenes or not. Sometimes it gets played and sometimes it doesn't, so I never know. But yeah, CrimeCon definitely is a place where like-minded people go to learn as much as they can. And I learned quite a bit just in the 3 sessions that I went to. And what I'll say is it was hard to find a lot of the sessions and stuff like that. And especially me being disabled and afraid of heights, using the elevators versus the escalators, I had a harder time trying to find where everything was. And I know that a lot of the people on scooters and in wheelchairs were having the same issues that I was having. So I would have liked to have gone to more sessions, but unfortunately I was never able to make them because of the gap in where some of them were and trying to navigate. So
I think some people just picked a room and that's where they were the whole time. You know, like, sit where she down.
Honestly, I probably should have just done that. And there were quite a few that I had picked in the creator studio, but all those were being recorded. And so I felt a little weird being in there while they were recording, but I guess they were recording them all anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, I should have just stayed in one spot myself.
Well, I hopped around a lot. The thing is a lot of the big ones, the high profile ones happen at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to pick one and go with it. And then if you want to go down to Creator Row, where other podcasters, production companies are, people who rent booths for missing and murdered loved ones, just trying to get the attention of a podcaster or a production company.
Yeah.
It's a wild place. And I love going down there, but you do miss sessions at that point. And so I got to talking to a woman for over an hour, you know, and so you're missing those classes, but it was well worth it. It's well worth it to spend the time down there. But you do miss the classes live at that point. But
yeah.
What was your first one you went to?
The first one I went to was about DNA. And that was extremely fascinating because I had no idea that killers like Ted Bundy and other like Richard Ramirez and all of these 80s, 70s, 80s serial killers, their DNA is not in CODIS because of the DNA laws, because they were before DNA laws were instated.
Oh. So
none of their DNA is in CODIS. So if something happens and a body's found from like 30, 40 years ago and they run DNA to, you know, on any of the evidence or whatever, it's not going to come back like we all think.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, there are so many killers out there whose DNA is not in CODIS.
Right.
And so I'm not even sure how to talk about it all. Alora learned a lot more than me.
My first one was the Ohio dentists, Spencer and Monique Tepe.
Okay.
And her ex-husband came to town and murdered them. Allegedly, he's going to trial. And so we got to listen to reporters behind the scenes of what they think and what they're looking for as, you know, they learn the story and as we head into trial and you know, some different aspects of the case. So it was really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know anything about that case, so that'll be... Now, all of these sessions were recorded, right? So that we can go back and watch them?
Yeah, it's called a CrimeCon HQ or something. You can subscribe and go watch them.
Okay, I'll have to do that. Because I'm very curious about the DNA one. I want to watch that one again. because just going back to that one, I was just so shocked. Like, so whenever they linked Bundy to the teenage girl recently,
Teen one, yeah, 15-year-old one.
that woman had to, the woman who was heading that up, she had to actually go to Florida and get Florida to test all of the evidence and everything against Bundy.
So I went to the yogurt shop murders, Austin, Texas, 1991. 4 teenagers in there murdered, and then 4 men were convicted, and then they were exonerated. And that was another thing, the DNA testing. You have to do it by hand when you have a sample and what they're matching it against. Like there's no do. It was laborious and it was intense, and to get a match at all was just amazing. In that case, the youngest one was 13 years old. Her name was Amy Ayers.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman named Angie married Sean, who is Amy's brother, and he said go for it, and Angie went on a crusade. And I wish that every family who had this happen to them could have an Angie, because she was relentless in being an advocate and pushing for answers. And lo and behold, finally through DNA, she found a prosecutor who took her by the arms and said, I won't leave you, and really didn't. And finally got a DNA match to a serial killer who had a standoff it was in Missouri, Kennett, Missouri. Yeah. The Boot Hill with police. And he ended up shooting himself.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. But
Angie said, we have that answer, but there were 2 men in the booth that night in that yogurt shop. Who was the, so there's still more questions. It was an amazing seminar too. It was great about being inspirational, what they're trying to do as far as legislation with the DNA, trying to get that pushed along.
Yeah, that was one of the points that they made in our session that we watched about the DNA is that we need to, there's lots of men and women in prison whose DNA still has not been collected. We automatically think that if they're a violent offender that they're going to be swabbed. That's not necessarily true. And a lot of the people who have later been convicted of horrendous crimes were only convicted of like burglary or, something small. Yeah, or drugs or something like that. So it was very interesting to hear, that they aren't actively collecting everybody's DNA that comes into the prison system.
Wow.
Still. And it's 2026. Thank you, Fluffy Muffin, for becoming a YouTube member, and also Creative. You became a member earlier. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
So I did a seminar with Blanca Simpson. She is the housekeeper for Alec and Maggie Murdoch. She was just fascinating, like really talking about her relationship with Maggie and how they were such dear friends. She knew them for 15 years and how she was disregarded as just the housekeeper. Nobody talked to her, nobody asked her questions. And to go through clips of what she saw and piecing that together. Like there was a video of Alec's car and there was a towel in there, and she's like, at that moment, I knew he did it. I had put that towel in the laundry room, which I called my office, and I knew it was there, and I knew he got it, and I knew he did it. And I was like, wow. And so she talks about as she was getting ready to leave the house, there was one more thing that she needed to put in one of the bedrooms upstairs. And she looked out and she saw that white Ford F-150 and just thought it belonged to a family member. And now she doesn't know what it was connected to, but she was running late to get her son from school. And usually she would have gone around there to the dog kennels. And she said, I didn't because I was running late. And she said, I think it saved my life because whatever they were setting up at that point, I believe I could have seen and been a witness to, and I would have been in danger. And it was just to hear her, tell those stories and say those things. It was amazing. And now he's, going back to trial, as we know. And so she's dealing with all the thoughts of that.
Yeah. Listening to some of these, when you go back and you hear what they who they didn't talk to or what they didn't collect or whatever, in all of these different cases. And you're just thinking, have you not watched a CSI show, Like, why didn't you
Scene
collect
101.
that? Why didn't you ask this question, And that's how I feel, It's like, man, even in the Idaho 4 case, because I did watch one of those. I watched where Kaylee Gonzalez's mom and dad were on panel.
Yeah.
And
Is that the one you went to, the very last one about ethics?
yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And
And I had just finished reading Broken Plea. And that is a book that is kind of controversial because it presents a lot of the information that would have been presented at trial.
But there wasn't one.
Exactly. And it doesn't seem like, according to that book and everything that I have seen from content creators covering the actual documents and the police footage, body cam, crime scene photos, all that stuff, it doesn't. Yeah, it does not seem like they actually had enough to convict this man.
Very controversial.
Right. And it's like, yes, he confessed, but would he have been convicted had he gone to trial? And I don't think he would have. And that's so crazy.
It's so crazy. They also talked about the Kaylee Gonzalez Foundation, which is helping families and law enforcement with DNA testing when the money runs out. And so, again, you get to hear the stories and the behind the scenes and the heartbreak, but you also get to hear about the foundations, organizations that they've started, legislation they're pushing, so that when this happens, unfortunately, when it happens the next time, people have better tools to fight. And so that's, a lot of what you hear there, a lot of inspiration from families who are not taking this lying down. They're doing something to make a good change. Yeah.
And Alora knows about the case, but she hasn't read the book that I've read or anything like that. And she says, I don't expect the Goncalveses to be self-aware quite yet. I empathize with them, but some of the legislation that they want to pass could be overall harmful. I don't have an opinion on the case though. And, as a history nerd, it's hard for me to get on board with censoring different things or not allowing certain things to come out. But then on the other hand, I don't want to see somebody's naked body or somebody's dead body, right?
Right.
So I empathize completely with them. But as history goes, and all of that, I think that it's very important to be as open and honest as we can about the things that actually happened in the case. And I don't know, I've got a lot of questions now after reading that book and hearing different things.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of big questions there. And it is unfortunate. They did talk about what to your point, the crime scene photos of the of those young people and how the family had no warning and then very little warning for a different batch. And so I can't imagine being that family and having those released and seeing that. And also, if there are different answers to this puzzle, I want to know that. And sometimes those things play a valuable role, and it all is a terrible, terrible line to walk.
It really is, and for the longest time after this happened, I thought, oh, everybody just needs to leave them alone. But the more that comes out, the more I'm just like, oh, wow, I don't know. There's some weird stuff going on here. And to Alora's point, they want to make a lot of things not accessible to the public. I understand their concerns, but police can be wrong and they can be deceptive. I think it could lead to problems in the future. And It definitely could. Maybe not in this case, but in other cases. And sometimes we're so reactionary that we don't think about the future and what it can mean to different cases and different situations. So
if you wanted to go back and purchase those videos of the seminars, I know there were some big ones. Nancy Guthrie was covered. Rex Howerman, he was the Gigolo Beach serial killer. That was covered. Scott Peterson, another one where they're trying to paint a different picture.
yeah,
Innocence and all that. I ain't buying it, Amber.
I'm not either.
And Chris Hansen had Epstein survivors up there on panel, if that's something that would interest you too. So there was a lot going on at CrimeCon. I took a class with Scott Duffy. He's an FBI like forensic investigator out of Connecticut. And he, number one, he had a great show. And, you know, being a person who likes to ask a lot of questions, being the reporter that I am, I really found that his class on interview techniques was very interesting. And something that really
I wanted to go see that one.
Something that really caught my attention when he was speaking was that he would have to tell the families, you're going to get mad at me. You're going to see me in court on tape being kind to the suspect because I can't go in there guns a-blazing. I've got to build a relationship. And he said the disconnect between the families at that point and him would be harsh because, like, why are you being so, you know, I gotta be, we're trying to get information, but I understand the point. It's hard to watch somebody be kind to somebody you think murdered a loved one or, you know, did your family wrong like that. But no, just really interesting stuff that he had too.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to not rub up against, but sometimes you have to, you know, put yourself in situations where you have to talk to people who aren't good people just to get the information that needs to be had. So
I can tell you, I have the Toll podcast, and one of my stories is called Hearts for Gloria. And Gloria's body was found on a truck stop parking lot here in Springfield, Missouri. And as I was doing that, I got a hold of a brother and a sister, and they both had the same secret to tell me. And the secret was they truly believed another brother knew what happened to Gloria. And as that story unfolded, I knew that I had to get a hold of this Michael guy. You know, I had to reach out to him. And the sister was very upset with me. You know, how dare you? You know, and it's all emotion. Everything was fine in the end. She absolutely understood why. But in the heat of it, and I get that, it's like, don't give him a voice. You know, I know, and I have to, you know.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, people get really angry about you talking to somebody and I've had my moments where I've questioned people, you know, about why did they interview or whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, if you're interviewing to just get the truth and the answers instead of trying to prop yourself up or whatever, you know, then it goes a long way for understanding who they are, what they did, or what happened, you know?
Yeah.
And one of the classes that I took, or Alora and I took, was with Chris on Crime. And she was just talking about some of the unheard of cases, cold cases. And one of them was her aunt, Sadie Butler. And her aunt was an older woman. I think she was in her 50s. And she was living with her daughter and her boyfriend and their child. And a fight happened inside the house, and Sadie felt like she needed to leave. And so she left and ended up being murdered and found at a bus stop, propped up.
Oh.
And nobody has ever been held accountable for her death.
Wow.
And it's been, I believe it was in the 90s when it happened, if I'm not mistaken. No, actually in the 2000s. It's been like 14 or 15 years. But, nobody has been held accountable, but the boyfriend who she had just gotten in a fight with, or her daughter's boyfriend who she had just gotten in a fight with, when they came around to finally interview him, he had bloody knuckles and everything. And he said, "Oh, I just punched a mirror because I was so angry that I found out she was dead. But this woman had actually been beaten to death and then shot in the head." And and they just believe him. And there's so many times where that happens, where somebody will say, "Oh, this happened," or somebody will give somebody an alibi and then come to find out years later, it was all fake and not true. And the police didn't do their due diligence. And
It's wild.
yeah, and her thinking is, it was just another Black woman who, was discarded and never looked at again, and there are so many of those.
Just a runaway, it's very disheartening.
Yeah. Yeah. And she even talked about a little girl named Laura Ayala, I believe was her name. And she was 13 years old, and she lived right across the street from a convenience store. And she needed a newspaper for her class project. She asked her mom if she could go. I think her mom told her, "No, don't." And then she ended up going anyways. Her mom thought she was gone a long time. She walks out, and her daughter's shoes and the newspaper are sitting at the front door, but she's gone. And this happened in the 90s, I believe. And 3 men were actually arrested for other crimes, and they found Laura's DNA in that van, but they've never been held accountable for her death because nothing has ever been proven.
No
So,
body crime. I took a class on that too.
yeah, no body, no crime, which is
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
He was talking, you can try no body cases. They're harder, but it has been done. Yeah, there's so many. And that bulletin board they put up there, it is huge. It covers, you just think of how big Caesar's Palace is and how big this bulletin board is. And it starts off with just a couple. And then if you go to my social media pages, I took pictures of it after day one, even. It's just full of missing people. After day one.
Yeah.
In awe every time we go at how much is on that bulletin board. And that's not even the booths of organizations that are trying to help find missing people and all of the posters they have. It is just eye-opening and very scary how people vanish every day.
Yeah, I have a childhood friend who went missing in 1999 and still has not been found. I believe you were on the show with us, Michelle Crawford.
That's right. And woman from Clinton, Missouri, she was taken, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah, lots of people go missing every day. And like with Laura Ayala, she was taken literally out of her shoes on her porch.
Her porch.
That's just wild to me, but it happens every day. And still, even with all of the cameras and everything, Nancy Guthrie is still missing.
How?
And her daughter is a news broadcaster.
How is she still missing? I did not get to sit in that one, and I wish I could have, but I'm going to go back and watch it. I also took a seminar with a woman named Megan Connor, and she has the Hope and Healing Survivor Resource Center. And she was on stage with Nicole Schmidt, who is Gabby Petito's mom. Mm-hmm. And so Megan's mom was murdered allegedly by her husband in a domestic abuse situation. And the investigators did not believe that she'd been strangled. And so Megan was on a crusade to make sure that this man ended up in jail and things were done. So her binder, is this big, just trying to get somebody to listen to her that her mom was strangled to death and didn't just fall on the floor. But it was in the days leading up to that, you get to the point in the story where Megan's mom had some drinking issues, right? And you hear Megan just, it's hard to talk about that. And it doesn't diminish what happened to her. And to have Nicole, Gabby Petito's mom, say, she did not deserve this. You know, like to have those two women up on stage that night was just heartbreaking. And in the days leading up to the murder, Megan had, number one, blocked her mom on the phone because she knew she was being abused. She would not get out of the situation. She was frustrated. She'd been sending articles from the Gabby Petito Foundation to mom. And so that's where the connection between the two women were. She was like, if he strangles you now, the chances of him murdering you are like, what, 700% more? And, you know, just the heartbreak of her and the guilt. And having Gabby's mom up there on stage was just incredible. And they're just so strong. And again, starting these foundations, the Gabby Petito Foundation and the Hope and Healing. And part of the Hope and Healing is pushing Dom's Law with this Mackenzie Sharilla case and her money off social media and trying to get that re-engaged. The Son of Sam laws was overturned, if you guys don't know, by the Supreme Court, but now states are picking up and piecemealing and doing their own thing and trying to pass legislation. So they're trying to get on board with this too and get this law passed so that people who commit murder can't get on TikTok and make a ton of money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ironic how how it happens, you know, and the fact that one of the main people out there making money is trying to stop other people just like they're making money.
Right on TMZ. Just
right.
Have an opinion. That was crazy. That was crazy. But yeah, it's stories like that. I hope we're conveying the theme and the essence of CrimeCon to you guys. And it's not just going there and listening to sensational stories and you know, and I have had those in the past where it was like, oh, he went undercover with a cult. You know, he's got all the cool stories and the pictures and everything. So don't get me wrong. It's there's some really interesting. I took a bug class one year where if your car, you know, goes through a certain area and there's bugs on it, then they can tell what time of year you were there, where you were at, you know, and that's how they solve some of the crimes. Just wild stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. They had I think it was Investigation Discovery had a booth where it was showing animal breakdown, the predation of the body.
Sure.
Yeah, that was interesting. So I saw there was a organization, I'm not exactly sure what they're called. Oh, Ring of Fire, or no, Ring True. Sorry, not Ring of Fire. My bad. And it says this product was assembled in a safe home by a survivor of human trafficking. When you wear it, be proud that you are helping provide dignified work opportunities for strong women during their journey toward healing and hope. And so we got some bracelets. We're sending those to somebody. And then you found this professor. You want to talk about him because you probably had a longer conversation than I did. Stephen J. Angelo? Gene Angelo?
Yeah, I've been fighting with that. Look, we both. So I went up to his booth and he just, I don't know. I mean, there's the word monsters, right? And I got a Monsters Inc. email in my season 2 poison control. And I was just really fascinated with our conversation. He is a professor at Illinois University, Springfield.
Yeah.
In Springfield, Illinois. And Department of Revenue agent in his past life. And interested in this stuff and wrote a book. So I bought his book, and then the next day I was like, I'm going to buy another book. And he was like, I like to hear that. So I bought it for Amber so that we can read it together and kind of go through and just have, you know, something to have an interest and commonality in and study because we're both interested in serial killers. So.
Yeah, I'm actually excited to read this. I was going to start it yesterday and then I forgot, but I'm very intrigued by this guy. My husband and I both talked to him, and my husband picks up on things. And I'll just say that it was a very interesting takeaway from what my husband said, but I'm not going to tell you what he said.
Well, I bought 2 books from him. So
So we're going to read this together and we're going to tell you about it. And I told him about the Lawton serial killer. So maybe he will come on and talk to me about that. And maybe he'll come on and talk to us about this book. But I'm very interested in it. So, and then I found the Child Rescue Coalition. And the Child Rescue Coalition, what they do is they have a system to where they are able to flag IP addresses that are downloading or uploading CSAM and stuff like that. And oh, you think your hubby bought it last year? Probably. I think he was there last year, if I'm not mistaken. So the Child Rescue Coalition, they're able to get people's IP addresses if they're uploading or downloading CSAM, and they're able to send it immediately to the proper authorities, and then they're able to go and arrest somebody, within, I think they said 15 minutes. So if people aren't using a VPN or doing whatever shady stuff they do to try and hide all of that, they can find them. And so I was very interested in that, and I want to talk to the founder of it.
That's good stuff right there.
Yeah, I am in wholehearted support of anybody who can go after these people. So, and especially if they can do it without even having to go outside of their own door and just pinpoint it. It's a much more effective way of doing things than having these predator hunters and things like that always end up being shady.
Right. So every year they try to focus on crime that happened in that city, right? So last year was the Aurora shooting, the theater shooting, and that was incredible to hear all the sounds in that theater, how loud it was trying to call 911. Just the Batman movie itself, and then the chaos. It was terrible. But the officers that worked that case lined the auditorium, and so we got to honor them, and it was such a moving experience. This year was the Harvest Festival shooting, Mandalay Bay, right? Stephen Paddock. And there were 3 lieutenants who worked that day, and they were there telling their story. The first class I missed, they did a 2-part. I caught the second part. And the behind the scenes stories on these things are just incredible. How they believe he was trying to make these 2 tanks explode so that all the people would run to the side where he was shooting. And then that didn't work. So then he started shooting into the crowd, and then they ran back to the tanks, and he was trying to get those tanks to explode again.
Oh, wow.
But the thing that caught me the most is he had one of those double rooms, where the door is in between, and one side has a doorknob and one side doesn't. And he broke that window out, and in the other room he had a ton of the stuff he needed to do a lot more damage sitting on that bed. And the air made that door slam, and he couldn't get to all that stuff.
Oh, thank God.
Right? Oh, just to hear those stories, 58 people, over 500 hurt. Like, it was one of the deadliest. And to think, boy. And they talked about motive too, because there never was a motive.
Right. That's what I was going to ask.
They were talking about his dad being a bank robber on the FBI's 10 most wanted list back in the 60s. And that maybe he was trying to hit that kind of notoriety, maybe that messed him up or whatever, but still no real, it's just crazy. Like, you're just trying to rationalize a crazy person. You shouldn't do that. It just goes nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've always been, like Alora said, she kind of questions the narrative of that whole thing. And I do too, only because there's not much really out there publicly that and all of the different maps and stuff that have come out, you know, where there's a whole lot of conspiracy on that whole thing. So I'm definitely interested in that, but that thing, you have to invest a lot of time in looking into that thing.
That's a rabbit hole after rabbit hole for sure.
Yeah, and I stayed at the Mandalay Bay, not this time that we went to Vegas, but the last time that I went to Vegas. A beautiful property. So the fact that that's been tarnished like that is just terrible, you know. But I can't even imagine all the people that went through that, and being there on the strip like that and knowing how hard it is to navigate and to get away. I mean, I can't even imagine. That would be so freaking scary.
Yeah. And they're like, we do what we can, but you look outside. I mean, everything's open, you know, everything it was a wild seminar for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Laura and I realized that if we go again, we definitely won't be going next year unless we have something to do. But if we go again, it's got to be like, we've got to have a purpose. At least Laura and I, we've got to have like a booth or, you know, some kind of speaking engagement or something in order to anchor us there and make us feel like we belong there. Otherwise, we just kind of felt like, and especially this year because of how crazy it was to even navigate. It was like, I just felt like, why am I even here? You know, I didn't feel like I had a purpose. And so we definitely feel like we need a purpose next time we go. And the one other time we went, we had a booth, and then that didn't allow us to, you know, go and watch the sessions and stuff like that. And then this time we didn't have a booth, but we couldn't watch the sessions because we couldn't find any of them.
Well, I have the Toll podcast t-shirt, right? And then I have the lanyard and I have a million buttons on it. And I'm all like, hi, I'm Nancy Simpson. I have the Toll podcast. Here's a button.
See, you have something to sell. I don't.
Right. Well, I don't know about that, girl. But,
you know,
I was just always, and I didn't want to be tied to a table. You probably get a ton of traction that way, but again, you don't get to see the seminars. And I really learned so much when I sit in those. So I enjoy those so much.
I actually had a better time sitting behind Maggie's table because, you know, all kinds of random people were coming up. I actually met the nephew of a Manson victim.
Wow.
Yeah. All kinds of people come up and talk to Maggie. I mean, she's the social butterfly of CrimeCon. Yeah. She gets everybody together.
She does. She's wonderful.
Yeah, she really is. I mean, she's one of my favorite people. And so, yeah, just people were coming up to her and talking to her, and then she'd introduce me to them, and she'd be like, okay, now what is your podcast about? You know, she was trying to sell me. So I felt like I had a purpose there, you know, and then telling Brittany's story, of course. And so I did do something while I was there, but I definitely feel like I need something to anchor me. Otherwise, I'm just floating around, just not really. I have to have purpose. Otherwise. You had purpose, though.
We're trying to catch this lady.
Exactly.
And I know. I apologize. I stand up before the sessions and I'm like, hi everybody, here real quick. Okay, I'm done. So
no, that's good though. That's good. And you have something, you know, that actually is informative. And I've just got Gypsy Rose Blanchard, you know. Which I'm embarrassed to say half the time. But I did go to, I didn't tell you this, Nancy, but I went to a scalp bar, and it was off property. It was like 14 minutes away. And what it is it's just a place where they sit and massage your scalp for 90 minutes.
Oh, like that.
Yeah, with a good hair treatment and then a blowout afterwards. It was amazing. So I got through the whole scalp thing, and she was getting ready to do the blowout, and she's like, well, why are you here? And I'm like, well, CrimeCon. And she's like, no way. And then she asked me, well, what do you do? And I was like, oh. I was like, have you ever heard of the Gypstein Files? And she just was like, no way. And she just freaked out. And there were 3 women in the salon who practiced the gyp hip on a regular basis. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And they were like, we have all of these wild random people that come to our salon, but never in a million years would I have ever expected somebody who released the Gypstein Files to be in my chair. I'm just like, oh my God.
I mean, that is a unique talent there, Amber.
Right. She was telling me about people who like do the piercings and hang from their piercings and stuff like that. All the people that she's had in her salon, and she's just like, but you,
like, but you what? Win. You win the gold star.
Thank you, creative. Thank you very much. So at least I didn't feel so bad to tell her because I knew they were all young. They were like Alora's age. So if they're like Alora's age, I'm more willing to tell them.
They're more plugged in. I know when I did a booth at the Moth Market, which is like oddities and stuff, so many of the young people who came up to my booth knew that, number one, who it was, because they're just more plugged into social media on certain channels and areas and algorithms. But also they knew she was up to no good too. So.
They do. Mm-hmm. They do. And these women were telling me all kinds of things. It was great though.
At the Scalp Bar.
Yes. 90-minute head massage. Yeah. I fell asleep in the middle of it. So hopefully I wasn't snoring.
I would love that too, Kathleen. Oh my gosh.
Oh, definitely don't fangirl if you meet me. I'm normal.
I didn't get to see Payne Lindsay. He did one of those, I think maybe of the lives you're talking about. I'm not sure if he did. He Up and Vanished. It's one of my favorite podcasts. So I missed him, but I'm gonna go back and look at it. But yeah, it was some of those Unexplained. They did a live taping that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of neat to see behind the scenes what they do and how they do it.
Yeah. I noticed that a lot of the people who have been on like national television and things like that, they were like way more chill and down to earth than the podcasters and the people who are just on like YouTube and stuff.
Isn't that so? You would have a better interaction with Nancy Grace than you would a podcaster.
Right. It was so weird because like I'm not going to tell you who all these people were, but like we saw a couple of people and they like didn't acknowledge us at all. They were podcasters or YouTubers. And then we saw these people that were like on national, international news, and they were like just having a full on conversation with us, not even, we weren't even talking about anything like that, just other things, and it's just like they were so down to earth. But the YouTubers and podcasters were like, don't talk to me. Don't look at me. So it was very interesting.
But you can they have a dance party like on Thursday night before that starts. And to your point, you can there's Nancy Grace, there's Chris Hansen, there's John Quiones. Like they're just out there walking around, talking to people, get your picture taken. They're always so gracious and kind. That's what they're there for. John Walsh was there last year. So yeah, it's neat to be able to be like, oh, there's Chris Hansen on the escalator,
Yeah, which this year it didn't happen as much because there was
spread out.
Yeah, it was so spread out that you didn't see everybody like last year.
And the halls in Caesars are so big to go into the ballrooms and not a single chair.
Yeah.
Not a single chair. No place to gather or you meet people, nothing. If you want to eat a sandwich, you got to sit on the floor.
Yeah, anywhere. And they won't even let you do that because we went over to Fremont Street and I was waiting for Alora and my husband to get off of the zip line.
Yeah.
And me and this old man were standing there and all of a sudden we sat down and we were like, okay, this is much better. we're sitting there for like 10 minutes and all of a sudden the police come by and they're like, "Are you guys okay?" We're like, "Yeah, we're good. We're great." And they're like, "Okay, well, you need to get up because it's against the law to sit down."
You were vagrants at that point, Amber.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, what the heck? We were both mad, but it is what it is. Well, I guess I'm done for tonight. Is there anything else you want to bring up about CrimeCon?
I don't think so. I encourage you. It was much bigger this year too, and I know Fox Production took over a lot of the sponsorships, and so it was on Fox News the entire time. And I am kind of
really
about how big that's going to be for Orlando. It's in September of 2027. The host hotel is already sold out. My friends and I were able to get an Airbnb nearby, and we're going to split that. So I was very fortunate that my friend jumped on and saw that was open, but I think there was 8,400 was the head count for Las Vegas. So I'm kind of questioning like how big they let this get. Because the ballrooms are so big now. And a lot of people were just like, wow, this is, just from 2 years ago, how big it's gotten.
Yeah. So, now, what hotel is it going to be at in Orlando?
I forget. It starts with an SH.
Sheridan?
No. It's a resort, but it's privately owned, so there weren't resort fees. It was so expensive in Vegas, you guys.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, 2 pieces.
Don't go to Vegas if you have a budget.
$47 for 2 slices of pizza and a little drink. I was just astounded, and we didn't have a fridge in our room, so there was no like taking food and stuff like that. So a lot of people are very excited about Orlando and how much cheaper already it appears it's going to be.
Oh yeah, I mean Orlando and Vegas are night and day difference. We didn't want to go to Orlando just because we've lived there for a long time, and we're just kind of not feeling it. But had it been in Chicago, we would have definitely jumped on it.
Right. Yeah. But I hope that gives you guys a little insight into what it's like. And I come back fully inspired. I'm working on a project, and I was like, oh, I know what to write now. So I got the intro and the ending done, and I think I'm going to record tomorrow. So I'll be dropping an episode here pretty soon.
That's awesome. And I am going to get on the Kayla Huff story. It happened about an hour away from us.
That's terrible.
So I'm going to get boots on the ground there in Moberly and try and find out some information and bring you that story.
Awful.
Yeah, it really is. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But thank you, Nancy, for coming on and telling us about your experience at CrimeCon. I didn't see any of the crazy stuff that happened. I heard some crazy stuff happened, but I didn't see anything. So
I didn't see anything either. But Cocaine Quarterback, a lot of people may know who he is, but he was supposed to speak and he got stopped because he had violations at Caesar's Palace and he's been banned.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
And they didn't vet this. I'm like, what on earth? This wasn't a new ban, you guys. So there was a lot of chatter about him not getting in the building.
Oh my gosh. And with the cameras and everything that they had there, I mean, it was cameras.
That was another thing. Mike, he is Killer Bee Tactical. I don't know if you guys follow him on social media, but he gives all kinds of tips, former law enforcement. He has a booth there every year. And he said this year the FBI had scanners in the rooms. When the lights went down, they were scanning faces to see, because they always tell us there are serial killers here. Like, they're getting off on this. They want to see what you want to see, and what makes everybody tick is very interesting to them. So yeah. Ew. Yeah,
I wonder how many already and will be that were there.
There was a guy we were talking to. Oh, sorry. Oh, one more story. I was asking an usher a question, and it was a woman, and this guy just kept interrupting, and he was just like, yeah, we want to know, Bo. And I was like, oh, I don't like terrible vibe, right? And I'm second-degree black belt, taught self-defense. I put my hands up. I'm like, I am not with him. I don't know what's happening here. And she's like, oh. And so we move away, and I'm like, that guy is something's wrong. Like he's by himself. It has like what look like a pool stick slung over in a, but it's in a case. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. But
That's weird.
It was wild. I'm like, okay, you've been tagged in my mind.
Oh yeah. Alora had to report an assault in an elevator. So we were just going to CrimeCon, going to the I'll just keep that on there. We were going to help Maggie in the expo hall, and this man got on the elevator with this woman, and he had the woman's neck, and he was just like forcefully walking her in there, and then like pushed her in the corner, and she had on a hat and sunglasses, and you could tell she was blotto drunk. I mean, she was just drunk. But this guy was over in the other corner, like huffing under his breath and pissed off, and it was just really, really uncomfortable. And so Alora went out and told them, and because it was to the point where it wasn't just like somebody that was just like embarrassed about their spouse getting drunk or whatever. He was manhandling her.
Nothing else was happening. Good for
you.
Or
yeah.
I went to CrimeCon, got involved.
Yeah. Yeah, we always get involved somehow.
It's so true. Well, thank you for having me. I always appreciate you.
Thank you, Nancy. And I'm excited to get into this book and dissect it with you.
Thanks. That's fun.
Okay. Well, I hope everybody has a very blessed evening and that you go out and do something good to change the world for the better. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.